We call a meeting of the Mecklenburg County Planning Commission to order. Please stand with me as we do the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're now going to public hearing. First item on our agenda tonight. Yes. Read the. Oh, okay. Well, we have several things on our agenda tonight, but first thing on our agenda tonight is the protocols for the meeting, and asked everyone if they would please turn their cell phones off. If you need the restrooms, it's through the door and down the hall. The other items are the applicant will be given 30 minutes to present their application. The applicant will be advised when they have 5 minutes and 2 minutes left. Each speaker will be given 3 minutes to address the Planning Commission. The time will be strictly enforced. Each speaker will be advised when 2 minutes has elapsed. Each speaker will be advised when 3 minutes has elapsed. Each speaker will be permitted to address the Planning Commission only once. The 3-minute opportunity to speak cannot be transferred from one speaker to another. Speakers should face the Planning Commission and address the Planning Commission and not others in the meeting. The Planning Commission is conducting the meeting on public hearing to receive comments from interested parties. Neither the Planning Commission or staff will respond to questions. The Planning Commission asks that everyone at the meeting be respectful to others who are present and asks that those present not applaud speakers. As a reminder, it is inappropriate at a public meeting to make personal attacks or defamatory or disparage individuals or identifiable groups. Profanity will not be tolerated. Prior to beginning your comments, please state your name and address for our record. And again, just as a reminder, the sign-up sheets, if you hadn't signed up and you want to speak, please do that now. And if not, we're going to continue. All right, we have a application that the Mecklenburg County Zoning Office has received to rezone from agriculture to residential R2. This property is zoned agriculture, is located on the north side of Highway 1 at its intersection with Parkview Circle, Election District 6. Is it?
Edward Gaskins.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Edwin Gaskin. I am the principal for Echelon Resources. We are a historic property development firm, have been for about 20 years. That sounds more impressive than it is. It's really my wife and I. We are a family-owned company. We are the applicants here. We're the contract purchasers for the Parkview High School, and we are the winning respondent to the county's request for proposal cycle that they did last year and I think earlier this year. So we're working in partnership with the county to go through our due diligence processes right now, which includes zoning, which includes this request, but also includes getting the property on the National Register of Historic Places so we can avail ourselves of the state and federal historic rehabilitation tax credits. That's all we do is historic tax credit projects. We're owner developers, so this face, however modest as it is the one that you'll see now, all during construction and into operations, because we own the assets that we build. Should we be rezoned and should we be successful in the redevelopment, that'll be the 9th historic school that we've done around Virginia. You'd be hard pressed to find a development group that's crazy enough to have that kind of track record. We specialize in doing these historic schools. This site is obviously important to the county and important to us. We have not kicked off design yet. We would do that after we get through our due diligence steps. But we're estimating approximately between 80 and 95 market rate apartment units would go in there. And the reason they're rental units is that the federal historic tax credits require those projects to be income producing or rental for at least 5 years. We focus on what we call professional grade housing. We really focused on studios, 1-bedrooms, and a smattering of 2-bedrooms. We typically focus on working professionals between the ages of 25 and 45 that are either just out of school and starting their career or relocating to the area in some kind of transitional mode. We lease a lot to teachers, first responders, visiting engineers. You don't need to take my word for it. I redeveloped the Halifax Elementary School to the west a couple of years ago into the Halifax Lofts, and of course the old Toltecs building in South Boston into the Imperial Lofts. So we have a strong track record in the region. Feel free to call Carl Espy, the town manager over there, who lives across the street from my project, and the new town manager of South Boston, Matt Canland. So I'm here to really answer any questions you have. Again, we're at the very early end of our process. Best case scenario, we'd be under construction this time next year. Might take a little longer than that. We have, after rezoning, not only do we have the National Register of Historic Places, the county is actually working on approvals to extend sewer out 58, not only to our site, but past there. That's a requirement for the project. So should we be successful tonight, and should the county continue on their processes, sometime first quarter next year, we'll start design, and then seek state and federal approvals for the tax credit, and also county approvals for the building permit. Once all that's in place, we'll go out to the marketplace and seek financing, and hopefully by late summer, this time next year, we will have closed on that and begun construction next fall.
Okay.
Happy
And
to answer any questions you may have.
you're basically doing just the school part itself, not the gymnasium and all that, right?
That's correct. That was actually a really neat outcome of the RFP process. Parkview Boosters had a competing proposal. The county administrator encouraged us to get together and collaborate. I realized I didn't want the athletic fields and they didn't want the school, so we came up with not a joint proposal, but a collaborative one. The property's since been subdivided from the 1980s basketball gym and the athletic fields to the east. It's my understanding that's already been conveyed to Parkview Boosters.
Okay.
So they're doing what their thing is, which I think long-term is absolutely wonderful. They certainly have a strong track record. We're independent of them, but we've worked very closely on access easements, utility connections. We plan to be great neighbors together. I couldn't be more thrilled to be next to what they're investing in.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions?
And I love questions, so please answer anything.
All right. Thank you, sir.
That's it.
No one to speak again? No other calls or letters?
Nope.
All right, this is in election District 6. Do I hear a motion on this application?
Chairman, I make a recommendation to approve. The rezoning will allow the applicant to construct apartments on the property, will not be detrimental to the public welfare. It will not adversely affect the health or safety of persons or the neighborhood for the proposed use. It would be provide more rental opportunities within the county, and the owner shall follow the residential R2 zoning ordinance.
I'll second the motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, motion carries. All right, next item on our agenda tonight, Mecklenburg County Zoning Office has received an application by John Royster for a special exception permit for a neighborhood business and art display. This property is zoned agriculture, is located on the west side of Route 651 Plank Road, approximately 1 mile northeast of its intersection with Route 650 Dockery Road. This is also in election District 6. Is the applicant here to speak for this application?
sign up to speak, but he's present, in case you have any questions.
Okay. Mr. Royce, you are here?
Yes, sir.
Could you please come forward, please, sir? Could you give us a little description about your business and art display?
First of all, good afternoon, everyone. What we're planning to do, what I'm trying to do, is, we closed Western High School, we closed Eastern High School, we closed Pine Institute out of Chase City, and Mecklenburg Training School out of South Hill. And all of the artifacts, trophies, and whatnot, within those schools are being stored here in Boynton.
Uh-huh.
And what we're trying to do is, I'm trying to put up a building where I can get these items from the county before they get destroyed or lost, so we have some history of those schools.
Okay,
That's basically what I'm trying to do.
okay. All right.
So,
Thank you, sir.
I wonder where he can put them in.
All right. Do we have anybody else to speak for or against?
No, sir.
No calls or letters? All right, this is in election District 6. Yes, sir.
Recommendation for approval, Mr. Chairman. The county has approved these types of applications in the past, will not be detrimental to the public welfare. It will not affect adversely the health or safety of persons or the neighborhood for the proposed use. The approval of the application would allow the owner to display the history of East End and West End High School for the public to review.
Second. I'll second the motion.
All right, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
I think she's ready.
All right, next item on our agenda tonight, Mecklenburg County Zoning Office has received an application from Harry Sneed III to rezone from residential R1 to agricultural for proposed agricultural crop production. This property is zoned as residential R1, is located on the north side of Strawberry Lane, approximately 600 feet northwest of its intersection with Azalea Lane. This is in election District 9.
No one.
No one to speak for or against? All right. And in the application, all they were doing was all he listed was doing crop production, so.
So, it's in crop production now,
Okay. All right.
has been.
Okay. All right, so I don't see a real problem with that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I make a recommendation to approve based by rezoning the property from residential R1 to agricultural, will add the property owner more opportunity to use the property within the guidelines of an agricultural district. It will not be detrimental to the public welfare. It will not affect adversely the health or safety of persons or the neighborhood for the proposed use.
All right, motion's been made. Mr. Watson, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Okay, next item on our agenda tonight, Mecklenburg County Zoning Office has received an application from Stanley Homes to rezone from agriculture to business B1 for proposed business use. This property is zoned agriculture, is located on the north side of Elm Hill at its intersection with Highway 4, Bugs Island Road. This is in Election District 7.
I don't think the applicant is here, and I have one person that wanted to speak against, Ms. Siemens. Okay. That's it.
Okay. Can you enlighten us any on
This
that?
is
What about the proposed?
It's the old Pino's Pizza Place.
Right.
And it's on as agriculture then, of course, he closed it up, so it lost the grandfather clause, and they're looking to go back with a pizza place.
Oh, okay.
So it needs to be rezoned to business B1. It does have apartments above it, and they have been explained that the only way that anybody could reside in those, it had to be the owner or the manager of the business, and it would have to file for a special exception permit. They cannot rent it out to anybody.
Okay.
So you're just gonna put the rest of it back?
Yes.
So, Robin, once it close up, did you say it goes to agriculture then?
No, they lose the grandfather clause of keeping it
It
in
was already
operation as
zoned
a pizza place.
Okay, I got you.
Do we need to put that in our motion as far as not being able to rent out the apartments?
That's in the zoning ordinance.
Okay, all right. Just want to make sure.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the rezoning would allow for more business opportunities on the property. It will not be detrimental to the public welfare or not adversely affect the health or safety of the persons or the neighborhood for the proposed use. And the owner shall follow the business B1 zoning ordinance.
I second.
Motion's been made and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. All right. Next item on our agenda tonight, Mecklenburg County Zoning Office has received an application from Harvey Brinkley to rezone from agriculture to residential R1A for a duplex. This property is zoned agriculture, is located on the west side of Highway 609, Tink Road, approximately 0.3 of a mile northeast of its intersection with Highway 684, Spanish Grove Road. This is in Election District 8. Mr. Harvey Lee Brinkley, I see you back there. Would you like to come forward? Could you elaborate on it for us a little bit?
I'm Lee Brinkley, Harvey Lee Brinkley. What we're doing at this location, I bought the property approximately 10 years ago when it had a house on the dwelling. And what we're doing is tearing this house down because it's getting to the point where it's not feasible to repair. And we're just gonna clean it off and put another rental there. We're renting it now.
Okay,
And we're just gonna put a duplex back instead of just one.
be a
one
okay,
building, that's
two
all.
family, okay. Just one building, right?
It's just one duplex right there, yes.
All right. And you say you're already renting a property out there now, right?
Yes, I was renting it and yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Anyone else to speak for, Robert? Anyone against?
All right, go. Make a motion that we approve this application, Mr. Chairman, for the following reasons. Rezoning would allow for a duplex unit on this property. It will not be detrimental to the public welfare. It will not adversely affect the health and safety of persons in the neighborhood for the proposed use. It will provide more rental opportunities within the county. The owner shall follow the residential R1A zoning ordinance.
Okay.
Second.
Motion been made, second, Mr. Raymond.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda tonight, Mecklenburg County Zoning Office has received an application from Justin Rourke to rezone from residential R1 to residential R2. This property is zoned residential R1 and is located on the north side of Highway 619 Ellie Joes Road, approximately 1 mile east of its intersection with Great Creek Landing. This is in Election District 3.
Justin Rourke.
Thank you for hearing me today. I bought this property in January, and all I want to do is put a double wide there. And our current R1, I can't do that, so I want to move me and my family there. We live up the road in Tanglewood, but that's Bracy, and this is La Crosse.
Right.
So I was told this is the route I need to take. I brought some pictures of both neighbors. I've talked with both of them. They're okay with me putting a double wide there. And I
Okay.
have pictures if anybody.
You're just having to rezone in order to put a double wide instead of a stick-built home.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Three.
Anybody else to speak for or against?
No.
And no calls or letters, right? Any other discussion? All right, do I hear a motion?
Yeah, recommendation to approve. It will not be detrimental to the public welfare. It will not adversely affect the health, safety of persons in the neighborhood for the proposed use. Rezoning the property will allow for stick-built, modular, or manufactured home.
All right, motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mr. Raymond.
Mr. Raymond, second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Now we are Parkview Middle School.
All righty. Next item on our agenda, Mecklenburg County Zoning Office has received an application from Mecklenburg County to rezone Parkview Middle School from agricultural to industrial M1. This property is zoned agriculture, is located on the north side of Route 650 Dockery Road at its intersection with Highway 9530 Cougar Drive. This is in Election District 6.
Glenn Hudson.
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Glenn Hudson. I live in Mecklenburg County, 1000 Dockery Road, South Hill, Virginia. I've been a resident of this county for 64, going on 65 years now. And I am speaking on behalf and in favor of Nutrien moving out to our location in our community. I think it would be an asset to Mecklenburg County. It would be an asset to our community. And we're sorry for the loss that they had, but they've got to get a restart. And I think that out in the county is a good place for them to restart. It's a good location, access to 58 US 1, which leads right directly to 47 and 85. Be very little traffic there. Since agriculture is the backbone of Mecklenburg County, it was a great backbone at one time and still is. I move in support for it to be rezoned for that use. And I thank you.
Thank you. And just to be clear, and, right, Mr. Hendricks, no, you're good. This is Mecklenburg County's application, correct? We don't have any applicant
Correct.
coming here yet.
Correct.
Okay.
You ready?
Anyone else to speak?
Yeah, Norman Hudson?
Oh, that was, no?
Hannah Park?
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Hannah Park. I currently reside at 348 Dockery Road. I'm the house right across the street from the old Parkview Middle School. I am here to speak against the build of the new Nutrient Ag Solutions factory. As a very close person in that community that will be near the build site, I have concerns about air pollution, the water pollution, the negative impacts that it could have on our community. I have 2 small children, and one of the runoffs for this location runs off right into my property, and I don't want it to negatively affect my children, my home, my livelihood, as well as the properties that are around me that are very close in proximity to the Parkview Middle School, the old Parkview Middle School site. As well, I would like to know more information about what Nutrient Ag plans to do to protect against what did happen in South Hill. Although that was a tragedy, I do agree with that. It is a possibility that it could also still happen in the same location, in the location that they are now trying to move to. You know, what type of sprinkler systems are they going to use? What type of cleanup are they going to do if something like this does happen? You know, I drive down the road where Nutrient Ag used to be, and all I see is tarps covering what was destroyed. I feel like as a member of the community in close proximity to this new build, it would very much negatively impact our community as a residential community with more than 14 residents located near this new build, with over 6 homes located less than a mile from this new build. I hope you take this into consideration as, you know, somebody who lives in the community who's also a mom and worries about her 2 children. I feel like this would be very detrimental to my residential community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions? Okay, thank you.
That's it.
That's it.
I do have one comment to make on this. She made a valid point. If y'all look at your brochure that you got, this area is completely surrounded by residents, and all of a sudden they're going to put it industrial use right in the middle of a residential area. And that's the point that she was trying to make. I can see her concerns. I don't think you'll have to worry about it anymore. She would have to be concerned about it burning up like the other one. That was a freak accident when somebody hit a line and hit a propane tank, and the tank flipped around and caught on fire, and was therefore they couldn't put it out and burn the whole works down. I don't know where they're going to park vehicles out there that spread fertilizer and lime. We don't know. Actually, they'll put up a great big building to put lime, fertilizer, and chemicals in. So I think that's the point she was trying to make.
Well, the only thing I'd like to make a comment, I mean, I actually managed Nutrient Ag for 37 years and been retired from there for 5 years. It is probably one of the most regulated businesses. I mean, EPA is constantly there with the fire department is brought through it annually to check everything and stuff like that.
But if Nutrien was to be there, I know over the years that I was the manager there, the people from Nutrien Ag would come up, the safety people monitor that place very closely and would require me to put up certain things and stuff like that. And I would tell them, I said, look, EPA was just in here and they said, they don't require that. And they said, well, it don't make no difference. We do. They are very, very, very safety conscious of any company that I know of. And I mean, it's big. It's safety meetings. It's just safety is tremendous there to be there. So I don't think yet where, like say, the freak thing that happened, in South Hill, probably the odds of that happening again would probably be a plane flying into your house.
Yeah,
probably.
I don't think that was really her concern. The
Right.
main concern, you're gonna have industrial use right in the middle of a residential area. That's the point she was trying to make. And anything that you might be able to convey to her on what will take place, that would maybe make her feel differently.
Right. Well, I mean,
We don't
it's an agricultural use place. I mean,
Right.
Right now, the county's trying to get it rezoned, so they
Yeah.
can potentially sell it.
To industrial, that's right.
Yeah, so they can sell, so it's no guarantee Nutrien's gonna come.
No.
They're just going through all the steps to get the property eligible to be marketed for that purpose.
They're participating under the Tier 3 status for Virginia Business Ready Site programs. And that's, I mean, whether Nutrien accepts it or not, the county is still looking to rezone it to industrial M1.
Can you, Dave, can you think of anything else that as far as safety that she would be concerned with?
Well, I mean, I can't think of anything else. I mean, just it's very, very safe. I mean, this is the only incident I know of.
It would be a
It's been there.
state-of-the-art facility if they built it.
Yeah, it'd be-
It would be a state-of-the-art facility. The things have changed so much throughout the ag industry.
It'll probably be security, fence and gates and stuff.
There's containments and stuff like that too. I mean, it's no runoff. I mean, you don't have runoff in South Hill and that running downtown no more. Why? And it would have been no runoff here. Everything was contained. If the fire department had to use.
Yeah, well, we're talking about something's already happened. That was a freak accident.
Yeah. But I think you're going to have to look at 33 acres. No individual probably going to come in there and buy that. It's going to probably be eventually going to be industrial one way or the other, sometime or another. A big tract of land like that.
Does that help you feel any better?
Not really. No, sir, but I appreciate the attempt to try. It still is concerning that this, even if Nutrien Act doesn't come, and, it's a different business that does come, it's still a big industrial, the property, if it is zoned
Yeah.
industrial, will have the opportunity now to become this large thing in an area with small homes, and children, and animals, and pets, and concerns.
Yeah. And traffic.
All right? No. All right. Any other discussion here? All right, this is in,
6.
Election District 6. Do I hear a motion on this application?
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna have the recommendation for approval. The rezoning will allow for more industrial businesses in the area. The developer must meet VDOT standards for commercial interests. The developer may have to file an erosion and settlement and stormwater plan for approval before any construction begins. The developer may be required to obtain a Mecklenburg County land disturbance permit. The developer would have to develop the property within the industrial M1 zoning order.
All right. Is there a motion's been made? Is there
Second.
And a second? Do you want to do a roll call?
It's not necessary.
Ms. Crowder,
Yes.
Mr. Lassiter,
Mr. Last?
No.
Mr. Watson?
No.
Mr. Croker?
Yes.
Mr. Rankley?
Yes.
Ms. Webster?
No.
Mr. Arrington?
Yes.
Mr. Hayes?
Yes.
Ms. Simmons?
No.
Mr. Ramey?
No.
Mr. Warren?
Yes.
Mr. Crump?
Yes.
Motion carries to approve.
Motion carried to approve.
All right, that completes it.
Approval of the, well, let's see, we need to go into closed hearing here.
We're through with the public
All
part.
right. We now go into closed public hearing, approval of the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve the minutes of July 25th, 2024.
Motion's been made to approve the minutes. Is there a second? Second, Mr. Franklin. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Administrator, sir.
Everybody should have a copy of the building and zoning reports. Any questions on those?
All right,
And
what
we
about
have-
the three?
We have Rachel from 3TP that wants to give you all a update on the transportation part of the comp plan. Land use.
Land use. All right, land use it is.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Rachel Falkenstein. I'm with the firm 3TP Ventures, who the county has hired to help with the comprehensive plan update. All right. It's been a while since we've been together, so I wanted to start with just some quick updates on the work we've been doing on the comprehensive plan update. And then I want to share with you a draft land use plan, some land use categories that we've developed based on our study of the county and the community input, and then have opportunity for questions and discussion from you all. And then I'll share what's next. So just a few updates on what we've been working on. We've been working on the project. It's about a year-long project, and we've broken it into 4 phases of work. Right now, we are in phase 3, and transportation's on Robert's mind because that's what we've been working on. Drafted the land use plan. We've shifted our work on transportation, but here to talk to you all mostly about land use because we think that's a pretty important topic to get feedback on. And we will wrap up hopefully at the end of this year, likely November, with the final document and public hearings. If you recall, last time we talked, I think it was in the wintertime, it might have been January, February, we were talking about the vision of the future. The vision looks out 20 years ahead. We're calling this Mecklenburg 2044 because that's 20 years from now. We want to envision what we want the county to be like in 2044, and we've developed these 5 categories based on community input, based on what we heard from you all, and the research and kind of land existing conditions analysis we've been doing. Community engagement so far, we've tried to vary our community engagement and go out to different parts of the community. When we were talking about land use in phase 2, we went out to Bracy, met with, it was a group of homeowners associations out there that get together and meet regularly, and they agreed to host us and talk about what mattered to them as far as land use and transportation. And so some of the themes from that discussion, folks want to see more businesses be able to locate in Bracy with such a seasonal feel down there. They didn't feel like there was a lot of opportunity for businesses. There was a desire to see some more services in Bracy, opportunity to have broadband and trash and recycling came up quite a bit, as well as opportunities for EMS service out there. Housing was also a big topic of discussion. Folks want to see more opportunities for aging in place when they no longer feel able to stay in the single-family house that they have. They want an opportunity to downsize or to move into senior living communities. That was something that came up quite a bit during that discussion as well. We also went out to Clarksville to talk about land use, some similar themes as far as housing, folks wanting different opportunities for different types of housing, not just rural single-family homes, but maybe smaller housing types to move into in the future. There were some topics about zoning that came up, that people want to see opportunities for accessory dwellings on their properties, and small, like I mentioned. And then there was some discussion of transportation as well from those folks. One topic that came up in both Bracy and Clarksville was more housing opportunities along the lakes. So we've reflected that in the draft land use plan that I'll share here shortly. And then lastly, we talked to some students in Mecklenburg County. Our timing didn't work out well in that we weren't able to come out to a class and talk to students because they were in the middle of their testing period. But we worked with the principals of the middle and the high school to do an online survey, and we had a really great response rate. We had almost 250 people participate in the online survey, and loud and clear they said they want more to do in Mecklenburg County. They want opportunities for recreation. They want opportunities of places to hang out with their friends. Job opportunities even came up. Like the high schoolers wanting to be able to have a high school part-time job was something that came up as well. And now I'm going to shift and share with you the draft future land use plan that we've developed. Just a couple of reminders on what a future land use plan is. Again, a long-term forward-looking plan about what you all want your county to be in the future, looking ahead 20 years. So it's a very visionary type of plan. It identifies areas where growth should occur and areas where you should preserve the land for rural uses. It is not law, though. That's zoning. This is land use. So it is not the same as zoning, but it can be used to inform your zoning. So if after you adopt your comprehensive plan, you want to do an update to your zoning map and your zoning districts to align with the future land use plan, that could be something you do. It could also be something you refer to when you get rezoning requests from property owners, like you've had this evening. So the inputs that went into this draft future land use plan, we did quite a bit of community. I shared the two most recent community meetings we've had, but we've had an online community survey. We've had meetings in other parts of the community. We went to South Hill. We went to Chase City. We also have done some data analysis and mapping, looking at demographics, population projections, looking at areas of the county where there are sensitive resources and should be protected for the future, looking at places where there's infrastructure that could support growth. And that's what's informed the future land use plan. So here is the draft. I think Robert handed out hard copies to you all if it's easier to see on the paper than on the screen. But I'm going to go through each of these categories briefly and just share what each of the colors on the map means. We have two rural land use districts. They are rural and then rural conservation. There is also protected lands, which are dark green on the map, and these are areas that are either owned by the Army Corps or a state park or a community park or are protected under conservation easements. So I don't have a category describing what those are, but those are essentially permanently protected, and so you wouldn't have development there. So first I'm going to talk about rural, which is the lighter green color. This is just a general rural category where your primary uses would be farms, forest, open spaces. You have rural home sites, and then public utilities and public uses, which will be a use allowed in all categories. That's pretty typical. Secondary uses, you might not have the entire rural area covered with these uses, but they may be appropriate here and there. Businesses, agritourism, small rural subdivisions, things like that. With each category, we also have some planning and design guidance, and this can be used again as you have rezoning requests. You can use this to decide if a use is appropriate there. You can also build this design guidance into your zoning ordinance if you wish. So really just discouraging the convergence of rural use from farms and forests into other uses is kind of the overarching theme of the rural areas. And then the kind of middle green, a little bit darker than the pale green, but not that dark green, is our rural conservation. See, that's more in the southern portions of the county. This is focused on really water resource protection. That was a big theme in the community input. We've heard it from you all. We've heard it from the Board of Supervisors. That's something that's very important to this community. And so we looked at watersheds, we looked at floodplains, we looked at areas that have a high amount of intact forests that are kind of larger tracts of forest that make sense for protection. We looked at statewide data that looks at forest values, and they kind of rank forest values across the state. And so we've kind of clustered those uses together and developed this rural conservation land use. So again, very similar. Farms and forests are expected, but you would expect you might have a larger minimum lot size in these areas to really discourage subdivisions of uses. And we also say in rural conservation, uses like utility scale solar would not be appropriate here because of the importance of the watershed protection and protecting your rural resources. I'm going to move us on to areas where you might see a little more growth. Rural crossroads are areas we've identified that are essentially kind of historic crossroads within Mecklenburg County, where you have, two kind of higher traveled roadways intersect, and you have some historic properties. Some of these also have public facilities within them, like fire rescue stations or post offices. And so these are areas where you might have a small kind of cluster of uses, and business uses would be appropriate here. Residential uses also appropriate here. Service stations, things like that, agricultural businesses you would want to encourage to locate in rural crossroads. So again, some planning and design guidance, just kind of mimicking that historic building pattern around the crossroads where buildings are kind of clustered together and easy to get, between buildings to get from use to use within the rural crossroads. And focused also on protecting the historic buildings that are already there. Next is industrial and employment uses. These are purple on your map. The purpose here is really for industrial growth and employment generating uses within the county. Primary uses would be industrial and light industrial manufacturing, warehousing, data storage facilities, which I know you already have some of those. Utility scale solar would be great to co-locate in these on parking lots or on rooftops if possible. Something to think about here is some design guidance when you do have industrial employment uses that came up in your public hearings this evening. There are things you can do to make the tension between residential or agricultural use and industrial be a little bit easier. You can screen your industrial sites, you can require buffers, you can require buildings and parking areas and stormwater facilities to be sited to avoid resources like streams, and you can require them to buffer streams so that they're protected from any runoff. So something to consider with future zoning updates for to kind of protect your rural and your residential areas from some of the impacts that come with industrial uses. And then lastly, residential. This is yellow on your map. You don't see a ton of this because based on the growth projections for the county and based on the fact that you have 6 towns here, we expect a lot of your residential to actually be accommodated within the towns. But we do have some residential areas clustered around the towns and areas where there is access to public water and sewer or public water and sewer is planned in the future. So this would just be where you would have, typical housing types like single family or townhomes, or even small like garden apartments, similar to the rezoning of the school we did this evening. Those types of kind of low or mid density housing. And some just design guidance here as well, trying to encourage a variety of housing types here and not just the single family, because that just really came out when in the community engagement that people do want different housing types. There's plenty of single family, though there will be demand for that, so just having a variety if possible. And then lastly, lake area residential. This is areas near the lake that have existing residential uses or where there may be opportunities. Important here is this is kind of lower density. You want it to be lower impact housing so that it doesn't affect the water quality in the lake. So we have some design guidance here just about locating new home sites outside of stream buffers and floodplains and trying to discourage cutting down of trees and large areas of forest to locate new housing. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the map. Here's where we are. Again, it's still a draft. We're still working through getting the kind of final pieces of the comp plan pulled together, and we'll come back in front of you all for a public hearing. So there's opportunity to refine this and make adjustments. I know that was a lot, and you just saw it, but I want to open up the opportunity for comments or questions. And also just know that if you take it home tonight or start looking at it later and you have additional thoughts, that you can still reach out to us, and we still have time to make changes. So just, do you think the future land use plan reflects the community input to date? And are there any changes or additions we should make, or anything you think is missing?
That's a good plan. Some different housing is definitely needed, and that was good in your plan.
So I'm going to put up my email. If you all do have thoughts you want to share, please feel free to follow up with me. Robert also knows how to get in touch with me. If you forget this and don't write it down, please reach out to Robert.
Hotline.
That's right. I just want to share real quickly what's next. So like I said, we're compiling content for the full draft of the plan to pull that together. We will have that available in September, and we have some community input opportunities in September. We plan tentatively to come back to you all in October, and then to the board in November, and these will be for public hearings, which is required for the county to adopt the plan. You're required to have a public hearing. So we plan to put the full draft out there. I'll have Robert share it with you all over email, so you have a chance to review it before the public hearing and send us comments as well, so that you're not seeing kind of the full plan for the first time during the public hearing. And then just want to share, we do have something scheduled for a community pop-up where we're going to come out to the First Responders Benefit Concert in South Hill, and have an opportunity for people to review the plan and provide input at that time. We like to try and schedule community input on places where there's going to be people out and about, because oftentimes if we just say, come to a meeting at the county office building, we might get 2 or 3 people. But if we go out into the community and find people where they are, we generally get really great input and talk to people that might not otherwise be involved. So we'll start sharing this out on social media, but I wanted to let you all know. And that is all I have this evening. But if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to share them with me. Reach out to Robert, send me an email. And thank you all for having me this evening. I appreciate it.
I see, you know, what we're doing, what's going on then at the Parkview High School site. You know, you're addressing 90 apartments potentially for rentals for people, and then you're giving the, you don't have the ball fields and the things that they are trying to do there to give the youth something to do. And, you know, and of course, that's on the eastern end of the county, and I know that everybody throughout the county can go there. You probably need something on the western end, but at the end of the day, still, what's going on? And I get this comment, well, why ain't you doing something here? Well, it ain't really we, the county, or anything to do. It's people investing in that and taking charge is the reason what's going on at Parkview. You know, some people got together and decided they want to do something about this thing, and they jumped in. They invested money in doing that same way this guy that was here tonight. He's getting the grants and the money to get things. So to do something even on our western end of the county, which we do need, but we need some people to really step up and be willing to invest into that and stuff like that. So I think some of that is going in the right direction of what you're talking about here.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely a private aspect to this too. I mean, the county can do what it can to enable growth and development and the types of new businesses they want to see, but at the end of the day, there is kind of a private development aspect as well.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion we adjourn?
No. What about the, have we handled that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've done it.
All right. Motion we adjourn.
So moved.
Everybody in favor, get up and run out.
We do have a meeting next month.